If you know me in day-to-day life or have watched my videos, you may have heard me talk or joke about anxiety bingo. I say this because of my having 3 disorders that are or have been considered anxiety disorders. I often joke that because of this I have anxiety bingo. I've even made up a mini bingo chart. Today I'd like to explore what's on that chart. I'll go through it square by square. Generalized anxiety disorder is a persistent worry, fear, and overwhelm about everyday things. Usually it's seen as a persistent, constant worry without reason. Symptoms of GAD, generalized anxiety disorder, include but aren't limited to difficulty concentrating, restlessness, fatigue, and difficulty sleeping, alongside general anxiety, of course. Panic disorder is when an individual has otherwise unexplainable, frequent panic attacks. These repeated panic attacks usually include feelings of impending doom, fear of death, or spiraling uncontrollably, as well as a racing or pounding heart, sweating, and fear of when the next attack will happen. They happen suddenly, seemingly out of nowhere. Next up is separation anxiety, which can also be a disorder. This is usually diagnosed in childhood, but it can persist into adulthood. It is nervousness or anxiety when separated from a loved one. This can be a real or a perceived separation. Basically, it's the fear that something bad will happen to a person you love while you're apart. It can also be a fear of being alone, abducted, or even getting lost, though this last one is more present in children. Symptoms can include extreme and or excessive worrying, sleep problems, breathing difficulties, headaches, nausea, and dizziness. Selective mutism is where an individual finds themselves unable to speak in particular situations. This isn't a choice or a refusal to speak, but rather a physical inability to talk caused by anxiety and panic within certain environments or situations. The person is usually able to speak in other environments. This is often seen with or alongside social anxiety, which I'll speak on in a moment. Obsessive-compulsive disorder sees an individual with obsessive thoughts that go against their beliefs, causing a lot of anxiety. These thoughts are quelled by completing actions, compulsions. Check out OCD 101 and the OCD playlist for more on OCD. Agoraphobia is the next square of the bingo board. In summary, this anxiety condition is caused by a fear of either open or enclosed spaces, being unable to get help, usually focused on a fear of places outside home. Usually people with agoraphobia avoid new places or situations in hope of avoiding anxiety and possible panic attacks. Usually it is specifically 2 or more of these situations to be able to diagnose agoraphobia. Using public transit, being in open spaces, being in closed spaces, standing in line or in a crowd, or being outside of home alone. Up to this point, I've looked at the anxiety bingo chart in order, but I'm going to skip to social anxiety and then go back to the last 2, because I think it makes a little bit more sense this way. Social anxiety is named relatively well. Anxiety in or regarding social situations, where one may be scrutinized or judged. These can be situations like giving a presentation, eating in front of others, meeting new people, or attending a social event. This can lead to anxiety attacks or avoiding situations, and a lot of negative self-talk, at least in my experience. Phobias, sometimes called phobia disorders, are intense fears of specific objects or situations. This is usually separated from agoraphobia. I believe this is due to the set of specific factors included in agoraphobia's diagnosis, as spoken of before, but I'm unable to really find a solid answer. Please let me know in the comments if this is correct or if you have more information on this. Phobias usually are avoided by those with them, and obviously include fear and anxiety when confronted by that particular object of intense fear. This fear is classed as uncontrollable and irrational. Unspecified anxiety disorder is kind of what you get when there's obviously some kind of anxiety disorder, but it doesn't clearly fit into the neat boxes of the other, specified anxiety disorders. The person would still have some kind of excessive, uncontrollable worry or anxiety, but it doesn't fit within other diagnoses, and isn't caused by something like a thyroid problem or illicit drug use. That has been a brief explanation of everything on the chart. But why are these specific conditions on the anxiety bingo chart? Basically, these are 9 of the more common anxiety or anxiety-related disorders. While I know it's not making a full bingo card of 25 squares, I still enjoy the silly joke because, at the end of the day, this is just me having a little laugh at the variety of anxiety disorders that I live with day to day. I hope that you learned a little something new in this video about the disorders that I touched upon, however briefly that I touched upon each one. If you have anything about LGBTQIA+ or mental health topics you'd like to see covered, please let me know down in the comments. As always, my resources will be in the description. Thanks for watching the OCD MB. Stay safe out there.